Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mitch Taco Bell, a retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel, your host of Tall Tales with Taco. It is Tuesday. I hope you tipped your waitresses and waiters at your local Mexican restaurant because today is the day you have to eat tacos. I mean, by God, it is Taco Tuesday. Tonight, I got to tell you, we're going to have a great guest tonight. Pat Punch Haynes is a former Marine Corps skipper, captain, CH-46 pilot, and entrepreneur, businessman. I mean, when you talk about charity stuff and giving, this is a guy, it was really hard to get him on the show because he is that humble type guy that just doesn't care about me. He just takes care of people. So it's a real honor to have him with us tonight. Before we start, I got to say a shout out to my sponsors. You guys saw Omaha's military surplus. They're located in downtown Fort Worth. But if you go to Omaha's, they actually have a website that you can check out, and omahas.com. You can order anything online. When I've got a 1945 Willys Jeep, I need some stuff for my Jeep, I go down there and buy it. So if you're out of state, somewhere else, and you want to give them a try, check out the prices. They're really awesome. You'll love Omaha's. So that's my sponsor tonight. And without further ado, I'd like to bring on Pat Punch Haynes. How are you, brother? Good to see you, sir.
Good. Taco, good to be with you.
Well, I tell you what, as I told the folks, there are certain people that do a lot of good. I mean, we have a sea of goodwill within the nation, and a lot of people do great stuff. You're one of those people, and I know for a fact you don't like the spotlight on you. So I'm telling you now, thank you very much for coming aboard. And I know the reason you're coming aboard is because we're going to help promote the MC-LEF event over in Dallas, and it's going to be a fantastic night. But thank you again for coming aboard with us tonight.
Yeah, great, Taco. Great to be with you. Appreciate all your hard work.
I just hang out, and this is a hobby, so I get to listen to some really great tall tales. I wish I had a beer with me. Drinking water, get up and go take to the air tomorrow and head to El Paso and back with a young man. So life is good. But speaking of flying, I want to talk about your dad.
He was the real Punch. Yeah. So graduated from Cornell, 1940. Got in the Marine Corps. It's kind of interesting. My grandfather was a naval balloonist in the First World War. And yeah, I mean, it goes way back.
So you still have the half wings?
I do, actually. I've got a good collection. When you come to my tribute to myself, I'll show it to you here in Savannah. Anyway, so he was there and got winged in 1941. They married my mom in August of 41. So they were home on December the 7th. He was with the FMF-1 in Quantico, one of the first F squadrons. I think they were flying threes. There weren't movable wings in those days.
Right.
And he went to the movies with my mom and came back to my grandfather's house about 4:00, and he said, "Give her a kiss, you're going to war." So she didn't see him for 4 years. So he went 4 years, and they flew their airplanes out to the West Coast and dispersed. And he ended up in 121 with Joe Foss. Got sick, wow. got malaria over there, came back, and Santa Barbara was really what we would call the reg now. It was the training squadron for F4Us, Corsairs. Mm-hmm. And so he hooked back up with Joe, and they formed 115, which we know as the Silver Eagles today. They used to call them Joe's Jokers then. And there was a guy that you may have heard of who was also an instructor pilot by the name of Ted Williams. So
the baseball player was
the baseball player. Yeah, well, they were in the training squadron there, and then Joe couldn't get. They were worried about Joe getting killed as a recipient of the medal, and so he finally fought his way back into the fleet, and they wouldn't let Ted go overseas. But so how about these jokers? So you had Foss, a guy by the name of Marion Carl, and Dad, and a bunch of other aviators, and this guy called Charles Lindbergh, who was a tech rep who flew with all these guys out in the Pacific and supposedly
Shut down to zero.
shut down to zero in one of the missions. So they deployed, they were in the Philippines, they fought in that, and they were going to go to Japan, and then obviously that ended. So,
well, if I remember right, he was flying a P-38. Lindbergh was when he got.
He did that, but he also. So the story goes with the squad with 115 splashed one too. So yeah. There's some great pictures. There's some great pictures of Forrest, Carl, and Lindbergh at 115. My dad's in the background. It's epic. And then here's an interesting tidbit. From 1945 to 1950, the Marine Corps trained 0 pilots. We were fighting for our lives. So that was the reason when Korea started, they yanked everybody out, from their day jobs and put them back in the seats. So my dad got the opportunity to fly Corsairs again. My mom was real thrilled about that. So,
well, Tommy D. Well, speaking of that, Tommy D had the squadron had traced the lineage back in VM or VF 234. They flew Corsairs, and Tommy got these guys back when they came back to the squadron to talk about what was going on back in the day, and they were going to AT, and I think they stopped in Beaufort, South Carolina, and when they landed and shut the engines down, the guy comes out and says, "Hey, you guys are bunking for the night, but tomorrow you're flying to Navy Dallas to wherever, not Yuma, but maybe someplace, and then out to California, put your planes on a ship, and you're going to the Korean conflict." And they're like, "We're doing what? We're 2-week AT. No, you've been mobilized."
Yeah. Well, and they just didn't, my dad did have a reserve billet, and believe it or not, in Floyd Bennett Field, and that was the Red Devils. It was 232. So they flew, I think they flew Hellcats. They were flying Hellcats back then. They flew them out there and then dispersed them to the fleet, jumped on a ship. And 44 days later, they were, doing missions in North Korea. So
did your dad get a chance to shoot down any Japs?
Any
Zeros?
He got credit for one before he got sick, but and I won a zero. I think it was a Betty or one of those things. I used to, before he passed, give him a hard time. That was a washing machine he shot down. But
well, how did he get the call sign Punch?
Well, back in those days, they didn't really have call signs in the Second World War. But so 115, after they dropped the bomb, they sent them to China because we sent a bunch of Marines to China, where the old 4th Marines used to be, to kind of stabilize it. And they were there for a couple of months. And coming back, they all ended up in North Island. Ken Walsh, who my dad knew growing up, who was great Marine, great aviator, Brooklyn kid, started enlisted, became an ace and another Medal of Honor recipient. Anyway, so these guys were in an officers club, and I'm not going to mention his name, but a semi-famous Marine Corps aviator came in and they shunned him because there was a little question about his kills. And I guess one thing led to another, and the old man decked, so hence the name Punch. So,
wait a minute, he wasn't a POW by chance, was he?
I'm not going to go there.
Come on, it's long history.
Not going there. Sorry, let your imagination run wild.
All right. And then, so now fast forward, what year did you join the Marine Corps?
I started 66 PLC. Like everybody else, I had a plan. So my plan was to have the Marine Corps pay for my flying. The war was going to be over. I was going to work for Pan Am and date every stewardess with an accent. You got to have a plan. It was a good plan. It was a good plan. Well, guess what? The war wasn't over, and Pan Am wasn't hiring.
So, Pan Am was done.
Pan Am was done. So I went through, PLC program, got commissioned, and started the training syllabus and with the 34s and then 28s. And back in those days, we went to the boat in 28s. And
Oh, wow.
everybody had a bounce. And then H13s and 34s, and then transition training out in Tustin to 46s, and then Westpac orders. So good time was had by all.
A quick memory lane jaunt. What was your favorite part of Camp Upshur?
I didn't have one. I didn't have a favorite part of Camp Upshur.
I love Camp Upshur. Everyone hates it. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
6 weeks of hell. It was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. You're a C-130 guy, so what the heck,
Hey, we're both transport pukes. Come on.
Yeah, I understand.
But I guess they didn't have the Quigley when you went through.
Oh no. It was a different thing. If you look at all of us then, we were not the ripped guys that you see now. The muscle. Ours was now that the Marine Corps go for speed and strength. Back then it was really endurance. So our toughest exercise was the hill trail, the graduation exercise, which was 26.5 miles, double canteens, which people that haven't had double canteens full of water, you start getting raspberries all over the place, and deuce gear, M14s, ammo, helmet bouncing all over the place. Yeah. And a truck every 3 miles, which was amazing to me. This is a graduation exercise. Guys would get on that truck. It's like, are you kidding me? Was this TBS or OCS? OCS.
Oh, was it
my group? Our group didn't go TBS. For 2 years, Marine Corps gave aviators direct orders to Pensacola. My good buddy Jim. General McCutcheon, who's a legendary Marine Corps aviator, which nobody really talks about. He, in I think it was 66, we trained 104 helicopter pilots. Between 67 and 68, we trained 2,600, for the war. So a lot of the guys, believe it or not, the Air Force wouldn't train any of us. So it was the Navy, Marine Corps pipeline, and Army. So some of the guys in the squadron had to wear Army wings, so they got a waiver, which was kind of funny. So
well, Amos was one of those guys that went straight to flight school. He didn't go to TBS either, General Amos.
General Tamer's an amazing man. Broken time and no TBS, and was commandant. So
you know what is it's never anywhere in his bio he was a Braniff pilot. I think that is fantastic that you could say, hey, I got out, I went to the airlines, it didn't work out, I came back in. Look at me. You could be commandant too, have little 4 stars. But no, you
should have stayed in, Taco.
Yeah, I'm not general material, brother. No. Yeah. Hey, I'm kind of like when I was a captain, I got out and I made major in the reserves. I'm going, what were they thinking? Hard to believe.
That's a little bit like my Freddie McCorkle story. I ran into Freddie. I gave him his fan flight. He was coming, I was going, and it's a story for a couple of scotches. But in any event, I see Freddie. He was a 2-star, and he had, I guess he had 3rd Ma then. In Beverly Hills from Rodeo Drive, he's got his 2 stars on his shoulder. And I walked by him, and I looked at him, and says, "Hey, you, Freddie?" He goes, "Punch, how you doing?" And he throws his shoulders and says, "You didn't think I would get 2 stars, did you?" I said, "Freddie, I never thought you'd make captain." So, and as you know, we're fast friends. Hadn't seen him in about a year because actually a year and a half because of COVID. But he's a great guy, great Marine.
Well, is he going to be here on Thursday?
I don't think so. I think there's some personal issues, but hopefully I'll see him in New York at the big M-LEF event. So we'll see.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, good deal. And you were his instructor in 46s?
I was, yeah. Well, he trained on the East Coast. It was a real big difference back in those days. The guys on the West Coast at Tustin, really had an advantage in Vietnam because of mountain flying. So the guys at New River had a little bit of train up. So I spooled them up right before I left, and a real funny story. So I've got like 5 days left, and I'm just trying to get out of there. And we're doing on our missions were pretty short, 28 minutes, 42 minutes, stuff like that. And so we do a first mission, then we do our second mission, we do a third mission, we get lit up. I got the airplane. Thank you, Freddie. So 262's squadron call sign was Chatterbox. So we were Chatterbox 22, which meant second flight, second airplane of the day. And we'd always get a zone rep, what's going on. And so Freddie got on the radio and said, "This is Chatterbox Fred," and I go, "Freddie, we don't give names up here." So we shut the airplane down, and I said, we do the maintenance bit, go to intel. And so we're going. In those days, we had old clubs we could drink, and
right.
We drank a lot, to be honest with you. And so I said, "Come on, we're going to the old club." And the old club was a sawhorse with plywood, ice though. We had ice. That was important. And he goes, "Punch, how'd I do? How'd I do? How'd I do?" I said, "You're good to go." I said, "You're a little tentative. You got 5 aggressive once you commit." And okay. I don't, I go home. I know nothing. I'm in the Army Navy Club in Washington D.C. And Ronnie Morosky walks in from 165, and he said, "You hear what happened to McCorkle?" I said, "Oh shit, where'd he get killed?" He said, "No, he didn't get killed. He blew the hatch. We had an emergency hatch on the 46, blew it, got out. We used to carry our personal weapons, was M3s, and he got out, and there was a guy with an SKS or something, and he plugged him. And he got a DFC for that. And he got the name Assassin. That was his call sign. His original call sign was Chatterbox Fred, because we gave him stuff about that. But and I always kill Freddie. I said, "Freddie, I think the guy was surrendering," but that's another story, which is Dutch.
A little bit against the Geneva Convention, but hey, he was bearing a weapon. I know he was giving it as a gift.
That did not happen, but I give him a hard time but he's a great American, and he was a great leader in the Marine Corps. I mean, think about what he brought in when he was Deputy Commandant for Aviation. He got the Osprey going. He got the beginning of the F-35. He got the upgraded Cobra, upgraded Hueys, and kind of reinvigorated the fleet. So great guy, great American. So.
Well, love to see him at one of our events. Get him in there sometime.
I hope so. I hope so.
Well, I've got a couple pictures I wanted to show you of some of our past people, and Godspeed to them here. Did you ever get to fly with General Pittman?
Yeah, in 1970, he had headquarters of HMNS 16. Right before he got hurt, but prior to that, when he was with Bonnie Sue in 265, he was a major, he was an officer, and what we would do is work 6 months and then take 2 weeks off and either do frag orders or base security, whatever, to mix it up, and then you. In some cases, go to another squadron. So you have 6 months as co-pilot, and hopefully the last 6 months as a helicopter aircraft commander. So I'm doing frag orders up at MAG 36 with Buff Buffton, who was another legendary pilot. And this guy keeps calling me up. I said, "Who the heck is this guy?" It was Chuck Pittman. Well, he was a major. And back in those days, you had to lasso a major into a seat. They were kind of ticket punching, but not Chuck. So I want to fly. So we gave him the name Monsoon Chuck. So, but you talk about a guy. So think about this. He started on a 14. He was an orphan. He flew tactical jets, helicopters, and fixed wing. He had roughly 4,500 hours in each. Was a hero in New Orleans, except, as we all know, his story about the sniper at the top of the Holiday Inn, where he was, and this is where the Monsoon Chuck comes in. He's minding his own business, and there's a sniper who killed, I don't know, 7 or 8 people, including 2 police officers on this roof of this hotel. Zero visibility. Monsoon, he says, screw this. And he gets a 46 because he had the reserve squadron down there. Lifts off Belle Chase, for all of us have been there. I mean, goes right off
down the river.
Finds the Mississippi, makes a right, finds the aqueduct, pops up. Smart enough to actually bring a peace officer with him, as opposed to him trying to kill the guy himself. Kill the guy, and he's here in New Orleans, except for the commandant of the Marine Corps that wanted to court-martial him.
Right.
And that was in process, except for one thing. And I can't remember his name, Mandel maybe, who was a congressman from New Orleans, who was head of the Armed Services Committee, who called up the Secretary of the Navy and said, not only are you not going to court-martial Chuck Titten, you're going to give him a medal and promote him. So, of course, Chuck went on to become Deputy Commandant for Aviation.
And a retired Lieutenant General.
Lieutenant General, and they don't make them anymore. I mean, it's really interesting to see a 3-star as a Liberty risk. But there we are. There's great. That was a couple of years ago.
That was 2018, and there's a scotch and a cigar in hand, and I was his duty driver. Take him back that night.
Yeah, I got it. I got a great Chuck story, if I could
go for it. Yeah.
So I'm in the DFW airport, and I'm waiting to get on a plane, and the plane's not there yet, but the new crew's there, and and there's really attractive flight attendants there with a pair of naval aviator wings. And I said, "Excuse me, where'd you get the wings of gold?" He says, "Oh, one of my neighbors lets us use his pool." I said, "Really? Where do you live?" "Oh, in Fort Worth." "Oh, who's your neighbor?" "Chuck Pittman." So Chuck is, I'll tell you what, you talk about a leader, you talk about a guy who leads in the front. I mean, that was Chuck. I mean,
he lived 2 streets over from me, and we did neighborhood watch. And so when we drive around, he had his police badge from New Orleans and made him an honorary cop. And we would do neighborhood watch together. So for me driving to sit next to Pittman and listen to his stories, it was just an amazing time as a young guy. Loved it.
How about when he had Marine Force career and he owned a bar? How about that one?
No, he didn't tell me that. I don't remember that.
Yeah, he owned a bar over there when he was a colonel in charge of all the Marines in Korea. So.
That I believe he would hold court at our local bar right up the street, and he would get over there, and then his helper, somebody would drop him off, or he'd drive, and then it was a cab going home, or he would, "Hey, how about give me a ride home?" That type thing.
Yeah. Well, I miss him
too much.
Here's the tragedy in today's Marine Corps: he wouldn't have made it. So.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is.
So
crazy.
we had Kevin McGuire started up. First of all, you got out and you started up the Thurston Group, your CEO and
I did a couple cents. So I got out and I did not fly for Pan Am. I was going to go to law school, and I had a buddy of mine who said, "You ever think about working at Merrill Lynch?" And they got a junior executive training program. I said, "No, what's Merrill Lynch?" So I said, "Well, you should go down and speak to them." And Merrill in those days was full of World War II guys and that were running the firm, which is a huge difference now. You didn't have to explain where you were for 5 years, right? And in fact, the guy who hired me, the chairman at that time was Don Regan, who was a Iwo Jima Marine artillery officer.
Oh, wow.
And the president of the firm was George Shin, and he was an Okinawa company commander in the Marine Corps. So, and back in those days, it was lucrative. It was paying me $9,800 a year, you know, which I didn't know any better. I thought that was pretty good. Spent a couple of years there, and then I was an airline banker. And then when American moved to Fort Worth, I got hired by Lehman Brothers because I had a good relationship with them. So I was in Dallas for about 9 years and met my bride down there in Dallas. I met her second day in Dallas. And I got half of it right. She flew for Braniff. So
does your husband know? Does your wife know your husband's flying on Braniff? I remember those.
Yeah,
the billboards.
Yeah, exactly. But and you know, she ran into Tamer when Tamer was at Braniff. So it's always interesting seeing those two when they get together. I'm a little keep an eye on Tamer, but in any event. For those that don't know Tamer, he's a former commandant in the Marine Corps. So,
General Amos, Tamer's who we're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. So
you're like me. You got down here that you weren't born.
Got down
in
here,
Texas.
loved it. Yeah, I was a I was a bachelor for a long time, and you know, living in Dallas with a couple of bucks in your pocket as a bachelor is not the worst thing I've ever seen. But
no.
We got married, had a baby. Lehman had just sold the first time, and we left Dallas to open up the shop in Chicago. So we're a private equity firm specializing in healthcare investments. And the guy who runs my firm is Dan Davis, Naval Academy, Captain of Marines, 3 tours in Iraq, and he's hiring guys. So he's hiring great guys. So I've been blessed with that respect. So the Marine Corps law enforcement, which is kind of the real reason, we're here, is
right.
It's a 501c3. It's got a very simple mission statement. It's to provide educational assistance to children whose mom and dad have fallen in the line of duty. And to date, we've given out $83 million in assistance. We've helped widows, which is something that, I'll touch on in a second. Probably the best thing I've ever done in my life. And the reason you're asking why it's called the Marine Corps Law Enforcement Foundation, the simple reason is when the Morrow building got bombed in Oklahoma City, there were a number of the Marine recruiters were killed, and there were a number of federal agents that were former Marines that got killed.
Mm-hmm.
So we formed this foundation, and like all true Marine organization, was founded in a bar in New York, and then Rush Limbaugh came and promoted it. So we took care of all those kids. Then it went dormant, and so it was Pete Haas and Jim Kallstrom and Dick Tarikian, and Tarikian brought me into fold. And they get a phone call in end of 2002, beginning of 2003, says we're going to invade. You guys need to gear up. So when you think about the Iraq invasion, they were, forecasting 25,000 casualties and weapons of mass destruction, all that stuff. So we kicked it into high gear, and I did the Chicago dinner, and I started it from scratch when I lived in Chicago. We raised about $12 million over a period of time.
Wow.
For M-LEF. And the great thing about M-LEF is we've given out $83 million with only 1.5 paid employees. There's no overhead. We pay for the banquets and stuff. We make money, obviously, but great contributions. So we've taken care of, something close to 8,000 children. And we've taken care of widows. The one that comes to mind, which we're most proud of, is there was a reserve staff sergeant from, I think it was Toledo, who was in an Amtrak that made the wrong turn. The Amtrak blew up, killed 13 Marines, one of which was Staff Sergeant Ivy, who left Maureen with 4 children. She was 23, 4 kids. Oldest was like 6. And so we took care of the children. That was easy. Now what do we do? a group of us got together and put her through nursing school for a lot of different reasons. One, she needed a reason, what's it about, Alfie? And I obviously a job and a profession.
Mm-hmm.
And she's now the mother of 6, married a Marine who's taking care of the other kids. And I probably have 20 success stories like that. So this is the best thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, it's just really pure. It's the easiest check I write. And, it's just a very pure organization. And we have a little fun while we're doing it.
Right. Well, when you're looking at $30,000 scholarship bond, right? If the kid's 4 years old, that's a tremendous amount of money by the time they're 18 looking to go to school.
Yeah, that in fact, so we led the charge where, it was no questions asked. So if your mom and dad passed, got killed, or had a heart attack, or unfortunately other ways, if you took their lives, which unfortunately has happened more and more often. But we don't ask any questions. Where some of the other scholarships, how about merit? How about this? How about that? We just say, hey, you got to go. You got to go to an accredited school. I don't care if you're a mechanic or you're going to medical school. It's got to be accredited. And with that emphasis, the purity of it, we shamed everybody else to matching us. So we can get close to $250,000, not just with our 30,000, but shaming the other foundations to match us. So which I love doing.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah. It's all good.
So you guys started the one up in Chicago, which that's how you met Shine, Colonel Tim Rayner, who is a tremendous buddy of mine and have worked close with him for last 15 years at American. And
he's one of the original Liberty risks.
No, that's what he says about you. But
I don't know about that. He doesn't like me and McCorkle together. He thinks we shut the place down. So.
That's it. Well, then Kevin McGuire started the one in Dallas.
Yeah, so I helped Kevin. I knew Kevin in Chicago. Actually, he was my neighbor.
Oh, that's right.
And he got involved there. And then he said, I want to do something in Dallas. And I said, hey, I'll teach. Not teach. I'll help you get it started. And this year we'll do, I don't know, about $400,000 or $500,000, and hopefully help some kids out down the road.
Well, I'm putting the email address, or not email address, the website address down at the bottom. So if you're listening to our conversation and you've just jumped in here real quick, we are looking at, if you look at MC-LEF, go onto their website. It lists since 1995 the money that they raised. It was very, small at the beginning. Then you had the Oklahoma City bombing. It was like $400,000 of scholarships donated. And then it just keeps going and going and going and going until you're looking at $83 million, 83 million. So it's a fantastic organization. If you're looking for giving on a Giving Tuesday, right there is the website. Please feel free to go there, give some money. You can set up a monthly deal if you wanted, or just a one-time deal. I don't care if you give $10. It's amazing that when you go to one of these events, and the banquet's on Thursday in Dallas at the Ritz, I'm going to attend with Punch and a bunch of other Marines. When we go there, they usually have somebody that is a recipient of the award, and they get up and they talk about their experience. And I've never felt prouder as an American, especially as a Marine, but as an American, to see this, because there are people that talk a good game. Then there's the people that do. You can talk, but its action is, thunder's impressive, lightning gets job done. And so to see these people succeed and do well with the help of this organization, it's just a fantastic deal. One of the many that I highly, highly recommend.
Taco's the best thing I've ever done in my life. It's the most, I've had a little bit of luck here and there. It's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. Just now, seeing these kids grow up, because we've been at this for a long time, and the babies that I presented awards to are now graduating from college.
Right.
it's mind-boggling. And the other thing is, what's impressive is when you have a casualty, the first couple of weeks, everybody's in shock. The
Sure.
family's in shock. You get through it, and the phone stops ringing. And what we do purposely is we wait about 6 weeks before we show up and just say, listen, you're not alone. There are people thinking about the sacrifice your family made. Here's our number. Here's what's set up for your children. And we give them a packet of the other funds, the other people we shamed there's some truth to that. We did shame them to contact. And so we can say that, you got $250,000 and people per child, and we care, and people care.
Right.
So it's pretty rewarding to me.
Oh, it's fantastic. I've got some photographs, just they're older photographs, and I was going to show them. If you guys get a chance to go, you can there's Randy Stillinger from American Airlines, one of our buddies, warrant officer, Army pilot, his wife, Sharon. We've got Tommy D, of course. Anybody knows Tommy and his beautiful wife, Teresa. General Pittman. Yeah, this was 2018. And this one I love. This was the last, probably the last event that RV went to before he passed away, RV Bergen.
Yeah.
And
we honored him that night. At least we spoke to him. Yeah, that's General Carey, right?
Lieutenant General Carey from The Chosen. Just fantastic. He comes to our Marine Metroplex every month, and just a fantastic guy. But this photograph always cracked me up because it's Pittman. We're walking in, these girls were standing there. Pittman goes, hey, stand here for a second. I'm going to go over there and jump in the picture with these gals. They're pretty.
Yeah.
He was a limo risk.
He was. I mean, they don't. There's no way they're going to make another guy like him. I mean,
no,
none. I just can't say enough about the guy. How much I admired him, and and it was the other thing is, he and McCorkle had a little rivalry going. So, Freddie sent me. I think when Chuck passed, there was some kind of video put together of a bunch of still photographs of General Pittman's life. And I think Freddie's in about half of them, but they had a great rivalry. They were both deputy commandants for air. They were both the Silver Eagles. And I remember, I think it was in 18, General Pittman was in the hospital and he got out of the hospital to come to the dinner. And you may have brought him taco. I can't remember, but yeah. And he said, you tell McCorkle I just got out of my hospital bed to get here. Where's he? So,
how about Milstead? General Milstead, Boomer, is he going to make it? Do you know?
Boomer is not going to make it. He's got a little warranty work he got done, and but he's here in spirit, and another great guy, another great.
Oh, he was my commanding general over in Iraq. I love him.
And
he was at MCRIC when I was on recruiting duty, and mRNA are upstairs. He's just a fantastic guy. Love him.
Yeah, he's a super guy. He's doing well.
What can we do to help? What if there's somebody listening who listens to the show later and decides, I want to start a chapter in Phoenix or Las Vegas or whatever? How do they do that?
I think you the chairman, the president right now is Ed Baran, who was a combat Marine, and he give him a holler at McCleff's on the website and tell him what you want to do, and he'll lay out how they can do it, and they'll fund it. They'll at least put the upfront money up. They'll take that risk and teach you how to do it, and they'll mobilize people. They'll get generals there and show you how to do it.
And Medal of Honor recipients. Barney Barnum is huge with the Philadelphia one. Barney is.
Yeah, Barney.
Or New York, or no? Is it New York, Boston, or?
Barney's all over the place, but unfortunately, his bride is he's got a battle going on. But yeah, Barney was in Philly. That Philadelphia McLeff thing is out of control.
Right.
I mean, it is it's quite a show. Quite a show.
And we have Lieutenant General Livingston coming this Thursday.
Well, yeah, he's a Medal of Honor recipient. Last bayonet charge in the history of the Marine Corps. He led a company. They took on literally a full NVA, not Viet Cong, NVA division. So I think it was about 8,000 guys or 10,000 guys versus 800 Marines. It was a 3-day battle, completely surrounded, back to the water. They fixed bayonets.
Yeah.
He lost. He had casualties, very high casualties, but they buried 3,000 of them, of the NVA. And he was wounded several times during the battle. But I mean, it's hard to believe. I mean, 3 days of day and night,
hand
to hand, cartridge belt to cartridge belt, E-tool to E-tool. I mean, he's quite a guy. And then, of course,
I think I said Lieutenant General. He retired Major General, but still, nevertheless, incredible.
You gave him a battlefield promotion, so
that's it. He deserves it.
Well, then then he, when he was in New Orleans, he had the 4th Marine Division Reserve component there, and then he got involved with the D-Day Museum, and put that on the map. He raised millions of dollars for that. So he's quite a guy. Be entertaining. Just a great American hero. Just a great guy.
Well, we get some really interesting people at the event, and especially, I've got a couple comments here. I'll show you. Great show, Taco. Looking forward to see you and Punch at McLeff on Thursday. That's Tommy D. Tommy D is my man. He tried. I wish I'd listened to him when I was flying at American, and he's like, "Come on, join the squadron. I'm the CO. I'll take care of you. Get in here." JP Price, outstanding man, Marine pilot, flown with Assassin both in the Frog and the Herc. What a character! And JP. He also flew 163 Ridge Runner Evil Eye, 85 to 89. So he's a frog guy.
Yeah, sure.
Frog
Evil
guy.
Eye, Buff Buffton, who was the Evil Eye in Vietnam.
And Jim is my resident F4 Air Force pilot. He works with me at American. Good evening from Taco from Vail, Colorado. So he's up there in nice, cool weather, although Dallas I think it's going to be nice for us. It was 80 some degrees here today, and I'm thinking tomorrow's going to be just as pleasant. So looking forward to having you.
Okay.
And I can't tell you, thanks enough, Punch, for coming on here, because like I told the audience at the beginning, you're not a man to have a spotlight focused on your efforts. And I know why, but I'm telling you, I really appreciate you. When I see you, for being on the show, you get your own very own Tall Tales with Taco coin. This coin and $3.50 will get you a free cup of coffee at O'Hare or at DFW at any Starbucks. Just show them this, give them $3.50, and you can get a double diet decaf Pepsi latte with just a hint of Madagascar spice. And I'm telling you, it'll be phenomenal. So
yeah. Well, listen, we're gonna have a great night Thursday night, and Taco, I appreciate everything you do. Our MC is going to be Andrea Canning, who you sat next to at our dinner. Yeah, so she's the MC. Leventhal couldn't make it, and her husband is Tony Teabag Bancroft. Yeah, he was a F-18 guy. So hard to believe she's got 6 children. It's hard to believe, but we're looking forward to a really good night, and perhaps we're going to open up the at bar at the end. So we'll see what happens.
Well, thanks again for coming along. We'll see you on Thursday night. If there's any questions that anybody wants to ask, except for Freddie Joe Farnsworth, what kind of foo-foo drink is that? Freddie, that's something that drill instructors drink before they go harass all their platoons at boot camp. Freddie Joe is infantry guy. What kind of foo-foo drink is that? It's not a pilot drink. I got that from standing behind a 0311 at Starbucks. I heard him order that. That was just crazy. Anyway, no other questions. I tell you what, thanks so much, Punch. You have a great night, and tell your family hello, and I will see you Thursday, sir. Fly safe.
Sounds great. Out.
All right, hoorah, out here. Hey, folks, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Tall Tales of Taco. There are so many great organizations out there that do wonderful things throughout the nation. If you want to volunteer, people always ask me, how do you volunteer? Why do you volunteer? Well, volunteer for a lot of different things because, for one, I came home whole for the most part, and I feel that it's my obligation to take care of my brothers and sisters that didn't come home. And if it happened to me, I would hope that somebody took care of my wife at the same time and kids. So if you are in that position where you'd like to volunteer, help, I encourage you. There is a sea of goodwill out there. Find the one that fits for you. Go back through and look through some of my podcasts, Hero Hut, Purple Hearts Reunited. I have promoted so many charities out there that take care of not only Marines, but all services. And I encourage you to go find one that fits with you, get with them, help out our fellow vets, because we're it. We are it. It's about us. Take care of the guy next to you, the girl on the other side. So you guys do that until I see you next week. I'm going to have Lieutenant Colonel Joe Harrison, who is he's an infantry guy. He's a great dude. You guys are going to have, Freddie Joe said, our heroes' dreams. Yep, that's another one. Joe's going to be on, and you guys will get to hear some tales from Joe. He's a very, very interesting guy because he retired out of the Marine Corps, became an entrepreneur, opened up a gym, just all the stuff that he goes through. He doesn't put up with any BS. And that's why he is one of my favorite Marines, kind of like Freddie Joe. So until I see you guys next Tuesday, adios. Hasta luego. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss. Shesheni. Au revoir. Domorigato. Domorigato gozaimasu. Tando shide. Kudasai. Ciao. Rivedici. Tashikur. And what am I missing? Let's see. Which one should I play tonight? You guys tell me. You want the dark one? You want the lighter one? You want the... I like that one too. I'm still here. You guys tell me which one you like in the comments, and we'll play that more. Anyway, I want to thank Michael Costanza, my good friend right down the street, for taking care of me and always putting that stuff on and building these things. Couldn't do it without support and without friends, right? Until next week, you all take care. Hoorah.